So Samsung's Galaxy Note 10 Plus is without a doubt one of the best smartphones to date with its specs, features, design, and all other things considered. This can also be said for the Galaxy Note 9 and the Note line in general, which just can't seem to be matched by other flagship smartphones on the market. But for the first time, possibly ever, I truly believe the Note 10 Plus and Note line moving forward has some very worthy competition, and that competitor is the Samsung Galaxy Fold. Now, I know the mainstream media has essentially written off this phone up to this point because of its initial failed release and because it doesn't share all of the similarities of a modern-day flagship smartphone, but from an average consumer and everyday user perspective, I am here to tell you that this phone is the real deal, and I am very excited to share my experiences with you in this video on Samsung's folding phone and how it stacks up against the Galaxy Note 10 Plus. Let's get started. Starting with the device itself, we obviously have a very unique design here with the candy bar form factor and thickness and weight of two normal smartphones stacked on top of one another. But that smaller width makes this a reasonable and enjoyable phone to use when folded. Everything on the outside feels very premium and sturdy. Also on the exterior, you'll find your usual buttons and ports with a dual speaker setup on the top and bottom, and a fingerprint sensor on the side, which will probably be used most of the time when unlocking your phone if you aren't using a passcode on the screen. The smaller screen on the outside is just that. Small. But honestly, in my use case, it gets the job done for what it needs to do, and that's phone calls, texting with swipe typing, navigation when driving, and checking on the occasional email, or taking a quick glance at something when out and about. Throw on a weather widget, a few commonly used apps, and an always-on display for when the phone is off, and this outside screen becomes extremely useful and helpful in day-to-day use. But of course, the main attraction here is when unfolding the Galaxy Fold, where you'll be greeted by an enormous tablet-like display. This screen has changed the way I view smartphones and everyday use of all of my tech in general. Ever since I've owned the Fold, it hasn't even crossed my mind to pick up and use one of the many tablets I have been reviewing lately on the channel, as this device is single-handedly taking the place of multiple devices one would use on a regular basis. Now, I know there are general concerns about the crease that runs down the center of the screen, and you can feel this crease when running your finger over it, and it is visible at some unconventional viewing angles, but in real-life usage, aka looking at the screen straight on, you will never notice the crease is there, and it does not interfere with anything you're doing or viewing. Now, yes, of course, this is a distinguishable difference from the Note 10 and any other smartphone out on the market right now, but it is a non-issue that seems to be creating a lot of fuss in mainstream media. I also saw a lot of people online saying they would not purchase this phone because of the notch it has in the upper right-hand corner. It does sometimes cut out a very small portion of your media and games, but the screen is large enough that it honestly hasn't been bothersome or a problem at all for me in my daily use. Media consumption on the Fold is very enjoyable. Even if videos don't fit the entire screen, I can assure you that watching hours of YouTube on end has been more enjoyable on this Fold than on any other phone I've used. The gaming experience is also great here on the Fold. Gaming on smartphones has always felt a bit awkward for me, considering the more narrow aspect ratio of games, and more so the actual size and feel of the phone itself in your hands when gaming. But the Fold gets it right with a great feeling two-handed experience. Any game from the Google Play Store will do, but I also found emulators to be a lot of fun as well, and the larger screen definitely helps here. Overall, the viewing experience is much larger than on any other smartphone out there, but the bigger takeaway here is an enjoyable experience no matter what way you're holding and using this unconventionally sized phone, with that good feeling when held with two hands I just mentioned, but also one-handed use with the phone folded, thanks to all parts of the screen being easily reachable with your thumb. And something else I think worth mentioning is that it feels much nicer to hold and use on phone calls, with the ability to hold it more securely and it feeling better held up against your ear, opposed to giant slabs of a phone we are accustomed to. And the Fold can also be used one-handed when unfolded, which is great for scrolling through websites, social media feeds, and YouTube comments. When I'm at work or out of the house, it normally gets used folded up, and back at home it gets unfolded when relaxing or kicking back. But no matter the scenario, I think it always feels good to hold, which I think adds a lot to the overall experience considering all of the use cases you can make out of a multifunctional device like this. And of course, that functionality can be taken a step further with Samsung DeX, Samsung's desktop experience, by simply plugging in your phone to a monitor. Now, of course, the same experience is possible on the Note 10, but a difference here that I didn't even think of before making this video is that the inside screen functions as a huge trackpad when using DeX, and the experience feels great. This trackpad can help you with more than just being a mouse pointer as well, including scrolling, navigating, and zooming. If your monitor doesn't have a built-in speaker, the speakers on the Fold will definitely get the job done, which provide plenty of volume, and once you throw a Bluetooth keyboard in the mix, all things considered, you have a great general computing experience here. So phone meets tablet meets computer. What more could you possibly want? Well, of course, a huge difference from the Note 10 Plus is the lack of that S Pen, which is an integral part of what makes a Galaxy Note a Galaxy Note. And it's something that could add even more functionality to this device. I'm just picturing opening up this Galaxy Fold and doing some sketching and jotting down some notes, because as I've mentioned before, this Fold can be held in one hand when unfolded, which would leave your other hand free to write. It's something we can hope for in the future, but this screen as is probably wouldn't be able to handle extensive pressure of a stylus due to its plastic build. This plastic folding screen also means a little more attention to how the device is handled and cared for is required, opposed to glass screens we have been used to for so long. But I think the use of the word fragile, which I've been hearing a lot to describe this Galaxy Fold in terms of durability, is a bit on the extreme side of things, because a normal use case will provide a very similar experience to other smartphones despite a different screen build. Personally, no matter the level of durability metrics a phone offers, I am normally not putting any of my $1,000 plus devices in harm's way, such as exposure to water, even if the device boasts an impressive IP waterproof rating. All of this tech reviewed on the channel requires some level of care and attention to keep it in good shape, so you do have to be just a bit more mindful with this device when it's unfolded. But I just don't agree with the phone being called fragile, meaning easily broken or damaged. I don't think it's the right definition for what we have here, because from the outside, the phone is a tank with very solid construction, and using the phone opened up in a way as you normally would any other phone shouldn't give you any problems. I think Samsung just provides this heads-up list to make sure you are aware of what can potentially happen to the screen in an extreme event, since this is something that the average consumer probably hasn't come in contact with before. But with all that said, I am still a bit paranoid about the lack of dust resistance on the Galaxy Fold, because dust, crumbs, and quote, small particles seem to be around us all of the time. I'm always cleaning off my devices, whether it's the keyboard of a laptop or screen of a phone and tablet, and knowing that the Fold can be susceptible to these things does mean that I put this phone in a pouch before placing it in a pocket of any sort, because when folded up, one of the ends of the phone does still have a gap, which surely is enough space for small particles to reach that inner screen and potentially get under that inner screen. And I also can't help but think if something got stuck inside this area where the phone folds out into, not sure how to word that, but I'll show it on screen now. I could be wrong, but if something got stuck in there as well, it may never be coming back out. So while I think the Fold does have some general precautions to be aware of, I think it falls in the middle of the spectrum of the Galaxy Note 10 Plus's level of durability and the term fragile that most people are throwing out there. So, with all things considered, the Galaxy Note 10 Plus is still the better buy for the everyday consumer at the time of making this video, but I think the Note line officially has and will continue to have a competitor in that of the Galaxy Fold. The Note is notoriously known for the additional features, functionalities, and capabilities it has over flagship smartphones on the market, and the Galaxy Fold is achieving that same goal in addition to potentially fulfilling your needs out of a phone, tablet, and computer all in a single device that fits in your pocket. The way I've always viewed tech is that the more options something provides, the better chance it has to adapt in more ways to your daily lifestyle, and that is what makes a device worth owning and investing in. And while the Galaxy Fold is nowhere near a justifiable purchase from a value perspective at $2,000, it is still something you can go out and buy right now if you're simply after experiencing and being part of the future of modern day smartphones. But once that price point comes down in future generations or reiterations of this Galaxy Fold, the Galaxy Note 10 Plus and future Galaxy Note devices are definitely going to need to watch out, because they now have some very worthy competition. But what's your choice between the Galaxy Note 10 Plus and the Galaxy Fold? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to give it a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing to the Shane Symonds YouTube channel today and hitting that bell icon for notifications. Hope to see you guys around for the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.